In a brokerage model, you become a victim of your own success. There's a pressure around the cost base of the business.
Yeah. Stress levels have been high. We've been doing probably 3 people's jobs each for the last 5 or 6 years.
I feel there's a lot of stuff hidden below the surface in the industry at the minute.
You don't need an office every 3 miles anymore, do you? If just from a business perspective, estate agency is awfully unprofitable business. Like the model and the structure is terrible.
At what point do you both realise that you're going to be stronger together?
This alignment and the collective direction is not without intention.
And had we introduced capping, it would have hindered, our profit margin, and therefore we couldn't have been as strong as we were. So yeah, we've got guys and girls doing 250, 300 grand a year.
So for those watching who are confused by the headlines in the property industry, what exactly is the relationship between Avocado and IAD today? Is this an alliance, a partnership, a strategic collaboration, or the beginning of something more? So I'm joined by Lee O'Brien of IAD and Ian Macbeth of Avocado. So Lee, I'm going to go to you first today. You brought your own business into IAD. Was it about a few years ago now?
2023, yeah.
2023?
July 23.
So coming up to 3 years.
Yes, yeah.
Why was that the right move then? And why is this new alliance the right move now?
It was the right move for our business, as we'd seen great growth in the self-employed agents that we were working with. And it actually came a bit earlier than we were expecting. So we kind of had it as a bit of a vision in our minds of we were going to do some sort of deal. There was going to be something within our business, and it was a sort of a 5-year plan that we had in our minds. And this conversation happened at about year 3. So we weren't quite to where we thought we would be for this to sort of happen. So it did come a little bit earlier than we'd first expected. But when we really started to look at it, we could see the next 20 to 30 agents ahead of us,
right,
potentially becoming a struggle for our business.
In
And
what way?
there was a pressure around the cost base of the business.
Yeah.
You become, in a brokerage model, you become a bit of a victim of your own success,
Right.
in terms of the growth that you have within the business and the numbers of agents and properties that you're marketing. And the cost base of the business gets really, really squeezed. The market itself is competitive, so our offering has always been competitive, but that created sort of pressures. So when it came around for us and we started to look at what we wanted to build in the future of our business, which was David Lee, we wanted to add different lines of revenue for our agents. We really wanted to get this team structure going. We wanted to create ability for agents to see and visualize what was coming ahead of them for their earnings and the earnings of their team. And as we had that conversation further and deeper with IAD, they'd already had this ahead of them. They'd already built all of this stuff. They had run this model since 2008, and they'd made all the mistakes along the way, and they'd fixed them and they'd built them. And they'd created a culture and an environment that we could see ourselves being a part of and actually growing further and faster with them than without them. And that's what made it the right decision for us at the time, to be part of that movement rather than to necessarily be fighting against it if it was going to be in the UK. So when we became the first agency business within the UK business, it gave us the ability to be at the front end of it, to be a sort of a steering, guiding sort of part of it, and ensure that model not only was great for us, but it was great for the agents and the UK agents. So it was specific to the UK market. It worked for our UK teams, and we were a big part of that.
How many agents did you take into it as such?
We took 20 agents.
20 agents. Okay, so over to you, Ian. Avocado, I'm probably one of your biggest fans, if I'm being brutally honest. I know my wife is, because we've seen you at the Life Cycle iceberg events.
Yep.
And from a distance, I've always admired the hoodies.
Yep.
So hopefully they're not
need to get
anywhere.
you one.
Yeah, definitely get us one now. But I've really, really taken to the localization of the property experts, if you want to call them personal agents, whichever you choose. But the marketing that you guys put together. So because you've been fiercely independent, because I kind of see you're a competitor at most things, including what you do outside of estate agency. What changed for you to look at a collaboration or an alliance, if you want to call it that?
Yeah, well, I think timing and the buyer were probably the two key things, and sort of breaking those out. The timing, it was one of those things where timing is never right to start something, is never right to sell something, it's never right. It just happens when it happens. In the conversations, I think that me and Mike were having with Lee and the team there at IAD, we were feeling more and more confident in the timing being potentially the right thing. There was a few things going on, government-wise with tax changes and stuff like that meant it was logical in terms of timing financially.
Yeah.
But I think for us personally as well, timing felt like it could work in a similarity to what Lee was talking about there. Me and Mike as individuals for our families, it felt like a sensible thing to do. But the buyer was key because we are very passionate about the brand. Obviously the agents, are like family. We've got 40 odd avocado agents, and we wouldn't have done anything that didn't improve and enhance their ability to carry on building their businesses in the way they wanted to. They'd invested so much time and energy and money into the avocado brand locally, as you mentioned. So that was really important to us. And the timing just sort of happened. The conversations went well, and we made that decision that we were at this point where me and Mike had probably done 15 years work in 6 years, really, is how we were feeling. Yeah. We've had a few medical things going on here and there. Stress levels have been high. We've been doing probably 3 people's jobs each for the last 5 or 6 years. And we felt that if we wanted to really push avocado to that next phase, we would have to then transact and invest quite heavily in some further middle management, some senior management, some support, because we couldn't effectively account manage 40 on our own with everything else that we were doing. So plugging into a massive infrastructure, a global infrastructure, IAD is 600 million euros a year turnover company. Being able to plug into that for the agents was really powerful. And when we were looking at, right, what is our competition and what do the agents get elsewhere? And you look at the other models out there, for the agents, IAD was the best fit for them, the best offering to build their businesses out, the best capping opportunity. And we felt like it was the right move for them as well as us.
Did you have capping in avocado?
No, none of that. And we didn't build teams out as effectively, and we didn't have capping because avocado, me and Mike have prided ourselves. We made profit from month 11 and then every year therefore after. We've never been out of profit. And had we introduced capping, introduced significant incentives to build teams out and further residual income, it would have hindered our profit margin, and therefore we couldn't have been as strong as we were. So
there's quite a lot to be said about the self-employed model and the complexities of running a successful self-employed brokerage, if you like. 'Cause I think you were doing something different, and then you built the brokerage first, and it's sort of folded into to IAD, and obviously you're kind of doing the same. Who approached who first? I'm just curious. That's me being nosy. How did that start?
Well, I've known Ian and Mike for a number of years anyway, probably only a year or two after they started Avo. I didn't know you guys before then, but I'd known you guys, and we'd had that sort of general conversation. It was so weird because it was never actually like a formal approach or anything like that. It came off the back of a conversation around frustrations in the industry and frustrations and potential opportunities about where the industry was going.
I feel there's a lot of stuff hidden below the surface in the industry at the minute. I think there's a lot of people finding challenges in every single model that's going, especially with the current economic situation, with small businesses taking the brunt of costs and increases in taxation. So what were the frustrations in that conversation that you can recall?
I think Mike approached you, didn't he? I think Mike went to Lee to try and, out of respect, because we had that relationship, to kind of fact find a little bit and just, okay, well, how does this IAD setup work? Because is there something in that conversation that we can take ourselves at Avocado? And is there something that we can try and fix this future problem that we knew would come, which is we're scaling to the point where we're not going to be able to manage it ourselves, and we're going to have to bring more features in for the agents and therefore more financial investment and people investment into the business. And when we do that, me and Mike have always sort of prided ourselves on making that strategic move correctly.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, we'll just pick some brains. And Lee was very kind in explaining how the setup worked and how the structure and the model worked. And then kind of Mike came away from the conversation and spoke to me and said, actually, to be fair, like it might be the best opportunity is to just integrate it straight in there, because we can't build that scalability, just 2 guys and 40 agents. We just can't do the same setup. But I think the issues come from, I've always been passionate about it, is estate agency, it shouldn't be a numbers game. And if we look at traditional estate agency, it is sometimes very market share, KPI, numbers led. And in the self-employed world, very easy to say the same thing. The client is not the seller, the client is the agent. But it's all numbers. Driving into work today, I was sat there and I'm reading something in one of the industry press, and it's numbers again, showing off numbers. And it's about people. Yeah. It's not about numbers. Yeah. That was important.
I'm guessing, was it the 1,000 agents joining EXP? The thing I see, I mean, I'll share a bit more about what we're doing, because I think it's a 3-way conversation today. I find it really interesting, like you just said, really, that then the numbers are a big driver and a big factor of the headlines, but actually what's the success below those numbers? What's the service like below those numbers? But at what point, I suppose, did you both realise that you're going to be stronger together than carrying on apart, if you like?
I think it was after that initial conversation that was more of the generic, the same that we would always have. We'd always talk about the business, we'd always talk about the industry. And then, you say Mike went away with that sort of seed of, actually, we could do something here and we could be stronger together. It could be the platform for you guys to grow much further, much faster. And we are absolutely open to that. So as part of our strategy from IAD, we are looking at these partnerships, these business relationships with brokerages, with individuals, to continue to grow our presence and our model here in the UK. So our ambition is sky high towards where we want to sort of take it, but doing it with great people and knowing great people in the industry as I do, and as these guys do. They're the doors that we want to unlock to be able to have those conversations with those people.
Good strategy. I mean, IAD is a global platform. You've already mentioned it, with thousands of agents. How many agents across?
So we are approaching 21,000 agents across 8 countries and 2 continents.
Yeah, and then you guys have built a reputation around quality, not numbers, which is what you were talking about, their culture, marketing, and I'd say a more bespoke approach to how you help the end user. Your client is the agent, the agent's client is the vendor. How do those philosophies my interest is, how do they coexist, if that makes sense? I don't know who wants to answer that one.
Well, I think the kind of alliance was set up in a confident way that they would dovetail really nicely, because take IAD globally to one side and look at it from a UK standpoint.
Is it important to do that?
I think so for this conversation. I think it was important for us, because you can put that over there and say, well, look, that is successful, it works. And, that shows that it will also work in the UK, because it's worked everywhere else. And we could look at it and say, well, they've had strategic alliances, if we want to use that phrase, with other brands in other countries and kept the brand, and they've built on it. So we can see that success opportunity is there. But then if we look in the UK, IAD is quite an infant brand in the UK. In fact, Avocado is more established in the UK than maybe IAD UK is. So what was important for us is, well, how is this going to work? Are we still going to be able to be a bit independent? Me and Mike still run the Avocado team, which is great. We can plug into, the huge tools that IAD have got. Cindy and Chloe, that were the Avocado marketing, half the Avocado marketing team, have gone over to IAD to be the national marketing team for them. So there's already confidence in the fact that the marketing side of things is going to support
that's
what we know.
You're great at doing. Bring this to the national team, etc.
IAD have got this sort of global scalability, and they've got a system which is fantastic, and the offering for the agent is amazing. And then Avocado's got this kind of this raw marketing, social media, sort of bubbly, friendly style. But Cindy's background is agency of marketing, so she can she can sort of wear both hats, and that works quite well. So for us, it was like, well, this is great. We know this, we know how this is going to operate. We know the people, and we know Lee. We like the other people that we've met, be it from France or Italy or Germany. I've met people from.
Has that been quite an experience? Because, like I said, you're fiercely independent. It always felt to me like you were like that around your brand. It was like, this is us. This is what we do. Did taking those sort of steps and into those conversations feel a bit weird?
I think it was weird, but it was exciting.
Yeah.
And I think you get to a point where, 5-6 years in, it was just before turning 6. You also get to the point where you're like, I need the next big thing.
Yes.
We kind of done this and we could carry on doing that, but you need to keep evolving. And to keep evolving for us, it was either huge financial investment from our side or dovetailing with something bigger. Those were your two options. And I'm still very passionate about the brand, and I'm still very protective of the brand, to the point where even already in a couple of months, I've said to Cindy, or I've sort of mentioned to Lee, I was like, whoa, like, just leave that bit alone, please.
I was going to ask you about that. Where is the fundamental differences and kind of, that's a bit, hang on.
That's going to happen.
Slow down.
And that's part of the fun as well.
Yeah.
And that is part of the fun is managing sideways, downwards and upwards is going to be an element of that. And that's probably going to be my biggest challenge.
I was going to say, because one of the things, you came out the corporate world.
Yeah, sort of large independent.
Yeah. Okay. Which tend to be run in a corporatized structure, which you need, right?
Yeah.
I think people knock that. I think
you don't realise,
done really well. You can't grow without it.
Yeah.
You need structure. We went the opposite way. I started partnerships. It's very much like, Ian, you go and do your thing. Just stick my name on the side, and we'll do some stuff together, and everything will be okay. But actually, what we did, it was like I was in the centre of a compass. One brand was going north, one's going east, one's going south, one's going west. And I'm sat in the middle going, there's no real kind of like synchronized direction.
Yeah.
And what you get with systems, processes, ways of doing things is you go, no, this has been proven. Let's go down this route together. But you're still going to have those tension moments. But where have they aligned really well? So you mentioned that there was a couple of moments where it's a bit like, oh, hang on. What was that? Was there anything specific? Was it around marketing, or was it around the process?
It was very minor, to be fair. Nothing crazy. It was more a case of, I saw Cindy kind of working actively on adding some sort of IAD badge to the boards, and I was kind of like, just leave the boards alone. Let's focus on the new stuff. The boards are all right. Like, they're okay.
That's my heart. You're playing with my heart now.
Yeah. But I think what you were talking about there in terms of the alignment is key. In fact, we were talking off camera about being away, and I was away the other day at a little village which is on the Thames, and I was watching a rowing boat go past. I was listening to the cocks, and this is how I would kind of describe it: is me and Mike were kind of in a rowing boat with ourselves as the cocks, just the two of us going down the river. But we knew if we wanted to go faster and further, we needed more people in the boat. Yeah. And what's key now, and I think this is where we talk about me leaving an independent, we talk about corporates. This is the bit that I think a lot of estate agencies struggle with, is if you're going to get in an 8-person boat, making it 9 with a cox, you need to know the direction. You need clear instructions, and everyone in that boat has to be pulling in the same direction. And that's where it all falls apart.
Yeah.
And what I'm hopeful with this kind of alliance is we've gone in a much bigger boat, and we're all going to follow what we want to do and row in the same direction. And that feels, for me, in the last 8-9 weeks, totally aligned with what the guys are doing at IAD, what we want to do, and now kind of forming a force, in the UK, really.
Yeah, that's interesting. We talk about alignment, and values are a big part of alignment when it comes to any sort of collaboration, any relationship, really. It's like you got to have some shared beliefs, things that are important. What would you say they are at this stage? Where would you say those things align?
Well, and maybe just taking it back one step is actually this alignment and the collective direction is not without intention. Yeah. Like, we've spent lots of time together. We've spent lots of
How
time
long?
with calls. Yeah.
How many hours? How many days?
Hours.
Yeah.
Hours. Every week
You'd
there's
hope
been
so,
regular
right?
stuff, right? And we've spent lots of time chatting in a casual sense, in a very, very business focused sense. We've brought the team together. We're bringing the team together again and again and again over this crucial period to ensure that those boats are pointing in the same direction.
Yeah.
That we understand the go zones, the no zones, and actually that cultural alignment and understanding each other. We've actually made conscious effort to make that happen, and that's strategic from my part, but I think it's so valuable for us all to try and speed up that process of getting to know one another over a 12-month period. If we can bring that down and actually get those boats aligned quicker, everybody can get on with the job at hand that they love doing and build something amazing together.
Yeah.
So that has been a very intentional part from my side to try and ensure that happens quickly, and that we can see the direction of travel that we all want to go in.
Okay, so I mean, when you sort of step back and you see things like there was in the press not too long ago about TA UK and Purple Bricks. I don't know whether anyone saw that. And I always find these things get a bit unnecessary in terms of the reaction to things and a bit of mudslinging here and there. But a natural reaction when two businesses come together or announce an alliance is people probably do naturally wonder whether one side eventually sort of disappears or folds into the other. Can you categorically say that that's not the plan? Is that a part of the future?
No. So what happens in our business and in our future is that the Avocado team is part of the IAD network and the IAD business.
Yeah.
The Avocado team lives on, grows on.
Yeah.
The team that the guys are building now is going to continue to build and become a phenomenal part of the UK thing. They've got their own brand identity. They've got their own onboarding culture. They've got their own training rhythm. They've the meetings and all of that. The cultural piece that the Avocado business has got. We do not want to change in any direction. Yeah. Yes, there is brand association, like what Cindy was tinkering with the other day. We have an IAD element to the Avocado team. And that
Cindy,
will happen.
for God's sake, you're supposed to be on my side.
But the key bits that make Avocado are staying in place, right? There is absolutely no commercial benefit to us to get involved with a business like that and then take away all those good bits. Like we're not that type of business. And actually, it isn't going to be the last team that does this.
No,
like we are the brokerage, and they are the team.
Yeah,
and actually, you can operate as an IAD agent, you can operate as an Avocado team agent, and join that, and there'll be there's other teams within the business, other teams in the business already. So it is.
Agents are in IAD now.
We are at 130.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool, really cool.
So that's how many did you say? 20 odd at the start.
Yeah. So
that's pretty. I mean, like that's really that's strong growth.
It is. Yeah. No, it is, and it's that first 100 is really hard. Like honestly, like with the people that come, the people that go, the people that succeed, the people that don't. Actually, that first 100 is the hard 100 to try and get that going, to get that right, to build the quality and the people that stay and do well. And it's wonderful to see that happen and see that sort of that foundational base of agents that love it, live it, and work really well every day, grow and grow and grow over time. But yeah, that's what I've spent the past 3 years.
What's that been like for you? Because it's sort of in a completely different sense.
Yeah.
You've done that bit with
David Lee. Mm-hmm.
Over how many years?
19 years, David Lee had been
19
running.
years, and your heart and your sleeve, everything's freaking involved in this thing, and then you done what Ian's doing now.
I did.
And went into this new world, this new platform. In one word, how would you sum up the last few years?
Roller coaster. That's true. Is that true? No, but right. it was. We went from that same position that Ian's in, where we loved our brand. Like we had a pink brand as well. Right?
I think estate agents do, don't
we?
We
had a pink and black brand that we bled for 19 years. So we made it. We had to make a decision to lose our brand to become IAD. There was no point in us coming into there. They were.
Was that part of the deal?
They're not going to take over our brand. Like it's just crazy. It's not. That's not how the business is going to work. We're not launching the business in the UK, and they're not the business that they are everywhere else. It makes no sense. You get no benefit from that.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we had to let our brand merge in and
How was
became
that?
IAD.
How was that for you? What was that like?
It was painful to do it, to feel like we're letting it go. It was a bit worrying because we felt like we were losing some of that brand loyalty that we built up over that time.
That's a massive step.
And yeah, exactly. In a similar way to Avocado agents, our agents had invested time and money in that brand to build their own local reputation. But I think what boiled down after the event, and you only really get that looking back, is that it's the agents that people like.
Yeah.
Yes, the brand was part of their toolkit,
Yeah.
but it was really the agents, and the agents' names more predominantly was what they wanted to be working with, the faces that they recognized and the people that they were familiar with. So yes, brand is very important, and I invest in brand every day, and I want to continue to build that. So it wasn't an available option for us to become a brokerage team within IAD at that early stage, but that was only an early stage problem.
Yeah.
And both David and I did it reluctantly, and it's still reluctantly to this day, but the reality is that had to be the way forward at that
And
point.
how hard was that to communicate that decision, especially if there's a part of you which didn't want that to be the case, if that makes sense? Because I do find it's sometimes very difficult to explain or communicate a business change, a directional change, if you like, to people that are fully invested in another direction.
So, I mean, directions were similar, right? It was similar directions. So it wasn't like opposing things. I think there was so much benefit to the move
that they outweighed
for our team, but personally, we underestimated the amount of time that benefit would take to shine through.
Right.
We had the time to absorb that, to digest it, to understand it, and to then see past it.
Yeah.
And I'm very sort of quite future focused, so I'm always like looking ahead all of the time. So it was easier for me probably to get my head around it and then look to the next thing that was going to excite me to start moving me forward. And we underestimated the timeline that it would take to bring the rest of the team with us.
Yeah.
And it was something that I was really, really conscious of with any business change, is actually just to make sure we give the agents time and information to be able to digest it at their own pace. And we think they could be up to speed like we are the minute that we tell them. And it's not always the case. And we've had a longer period of time to digest that and to let it percolate. And to give the agents the time to do the same.
So the roller coaster, that was probably one of the hardest parts.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah. The transfer
what's
period.
Been the top of the roller coaster, the high.
I mean, hitting those milestones and making the impact in the market that we have from a business standpoint, in terms of hitting those milestone numbers of agent growth, going over 100, which happened in a heartbeat due to the alliance with Avocado. It was like something that we were building for, and then boom, we were way over it, and we were sort of moving on to the next sort of growth milestone. But actually, watching the success of the agents within the network continue to grow and develop. I had a conversation with one of our agents just last week. She's turned over today what she turned over in the whole of last year, and her business has continued to grow and develop and develop and develop. In just about 6 months, she's done 12 months worth of turnover and has completely embraced our model. She knows everything about what she's building. She understands it. She's pulling what she wants, not pulling what she doesn't want. So if she doesn't want to do certain things, she doesn't want to do lettings, or she doesn't want to build a team or whatever that, but she's doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's an entrepreneurial platform with a network of agents, and you build the business that you want to build within it. Nice. And it can be this rocket ship of a business, or it could be a lifestyle business if you wanted it to be. If that works for you and your customers, then who am I to tell you not to do that? That's the model that we're giving people access to.
So what does IAD gain from this alliance that it couldn't maybe just carry on building itself?
I think there is a massive knowledge and cultural gain from a partnership like ours, bringing in two fantastic leaders in the business, as well as a group of super high performing high potential agents into the network
Yeah.
that believe in self-employed.
Yeah.
They want to run their own ship. And actually now we've kind of opened a couple of other doors of options to their businesses that like a good percentage of them are really going to embrace.
Yeah.
And that's super exciting to see them build something now for themselves that has a value, because these agents can now build businesses inside this structure that has an asset value that could be worth money to them in the future off the back of their success and their hard efforts.
And is like EXP, for argument's sake, there are other models, as Chris Watkins would say, in your sites, or is it, no, they do their thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether there's downlines and all that kind of stuff in IAD. Is that the case?
Yeah, so you can build a team within IAD. Yeah. Right. So within IAD, you can build a team and you can support other agents through a team. It's a mentorship program.
Yeah.
So there is a mentorship program where you look after and support agents that you introduce to the business.
Which I think is a brilliant way of developing agents.
Well, business is lonely, right?
Yeah.
But running your own business is a really, really lonely place. And having a mentor that's actually already trodden that path can be really helpful. But it's not the only resource available to you. It's just one of the resources available to you as you go about building your business with IAD. And that can happen through a multiple of levels. And the reason that happens is anybody that you introduce to the business also has the ability to go and do the same in the future if they want to.
Yeah.
And that would then form level 2 inside of your organization. Yeah. And you would receive a share of the revenue at that level as well. And this goes through 5 levels. So the agents can build businesses beyond their own activities over time.
Yeah, that was the appeal for us.
Okay, I was going to ask you, what do you gain?
Well, we are that. We have a team. We have the Avocado team. Yeah. So although we've done the deal that we've done, we are IAD mentors for the Avocado agents to carry on supporting them. Like Lee says, so
they don't really see much change in that respect.
They don't, and that was really important for us. Is we were talking about, you sort of provoked the question at the start, what happens to the Avocado brand? We've spent so much time and energy building a website that brings in 20 to 25,000 hits a month and 150 to 200 valuations every month. That's an asset. There's no reason to kill that asset because it's fucking valuable, right? Very valuable in our game. But also for us, for me and Mike, we can do the bit that we want to do, which is support the agents, run training sessions, learn more around marketing, lead generation, and deliver that more frequently without the concern of what's the right move bill going to be next month, and what's going to happen with fixed costs and staff and this, that, and the other. We don't have those concerns anymore. We can just be really proactive with supporting the team, and then we get our same allocation of mentorship share for that. I mean, our invoice that we sent last month was huge. Like, it was huge, so me and Mike are probably earning more money now than we were before, and obviously we've done a deal at the same time. So it's a win-win for kind of everyone, really. Yeah. And Lee mentioned, the agents are, these are the top of the top in terms of self-employed agents. The average Avocado agent is doing over 120, 125 grand on average.
What, in terms of banked commission?
Banked commission, yeah. We got guys and girls doing 250, 300 grand a year. Like, they're proper businesses.
That's what yeah. And that's out there in today's market, right?
Yeah, and it is. You just got to follow the system. You got to have the process. You got to stand out from the crowd. You've got to be a good agent, but it's not just about, I deliver good customer service or I've been in agency for 20 years. You've got to have the system, the marketing and the support and that knowledge.
Who's it for? I mean, like, looking at your growth together now, moving forward, if there was an estate agent sitting in like a traditional agency, why would they join? Is it, what's in it for them as such? So you mentioned sort of capping and things like that, but just explain to my audience a little bit more about the actual model itself, if that's okay. Yeah,
I mean, I think for the traditional agent, I've spoke to a lot of agency owners that own maybe 2 or 3 offices over the last few years, and they kind of contacted me and picked my brains on what we've been doing. And I think a lot more of those agents are now looking at consolidating. You don't need an office every 3 miles anymore, do you? That's the truth of it. The geographic side of things is less relevant. So, if you've got one super office, but within that super office, you cover a 50-mile radius and you've got self-employed agents that cover their towns, it's probably a more logical hybrid way of doing things for the future. And that's the conversations I've been having with those types of people is, how do we do that? Okay, what is the license agreement? What do you offer the agent? Can I keep my brand? That's where there's opportunity for people to look at what's coming over the next couple of years and maybe develop that, rather than having 6 or 7 branches. Is having a super office with 25 self-employed agents under your brand. That makes sense to me. But for the agents, it's pretty simple, really. You know, on their first set of mentorship, they're going to earn 7% of what the agents that they're mentoring brings in. So if you've got 10 agents in your mentorship that do 100 grand a year, you know, that's 70 grand residual income that's worth something in the IAD setup to be purchased as well. So it's a valuable asset that you can sell internally or externally. But at the same time, if they are an agent that's doing 200 grand a year, say, some of the top ones doing more, well, they're going to hit their 80k cap, and then they're going to get 87.8% for the rest of that. So when I presented it to our agents and said, look, this is why, this is what, most of the room, because they're at that level, just went, straight up, where'd you sign me up? We had everyone signed up within 3 days. The guys nearly fell off their chairs.
What was the commission split before?
70-30.
70-30. So
all the way through.
For a 200 grander, that's a big leap, isn't it?
Yeah. One of the guys went, if I was part of IAD last year, I'd have earned an extra 31 grand. Sign me up. That's literally what he said. And the rest of the room went, yeah, fair enough. So my job was done. I just walked out. But that's the truth of it. It was a good thing for the agents as well, which was really, really important for me and Mike.
Yeah.
Talking about, because I can see with what you've done with folding your sort of being sold, if you like, David Lee into it, changed the name to IAD. That was feels to me that would have been quite a huge step.
Yes.
And you're 3 years coming up into that. Are you where you were expected to be, or are you behind, or would you say ahead? Maybe because of what's just happened.
No, so I think we're probably, in terms of our goals and ambitions when we set it out, they would probably, I think we were saying, look, we'd like to be heading towards 300 to 500 agents at the 5-year point. Okay. So we're tracking. One of the cool parts about the business is, as it scales up, it actually grows faster.
Of course.
Which is what you're seeing in EXP, right? They go from 900 to 950 to 1,000 agents. Bang, bang, bang. Goes quite quickly. Because everybody within the network has the opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
You've just got more growth coming from all different directions.
Yeah, you just get the feeling like this is going to get bigger and bigger in terms of the less and less maybe independence and more into teams, brokerages, and folding in that way. And, you know, I certainly feel like there's a lot of good reasons to do it that probably, like you've done, is outweigh the reasons why you should go and remortgage your house, get a couple of $100 grand out and go at it again. It's quite a big thing to look at collaboration. Yeah. I think anyway, which is what I'm a great believer in collaboration more than the competition side, because I think you've all got strengths.
Yeah.
And if you can bring those together, you can create something if there's an alignment.
Amazing.
There. Yeah. So 5 years from now, then, you know, looking at, because Avocado was how old did you say?
We were almost 6.
So almost 6.
We're 6 now.
We're 6. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I can still say that, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Still a 6-year-old business.
Yeah. And I think that's an important note, actually, that your identity hasn't gone.
No.
It's actually strengthened by what's being offered behind it. And actually the speed of growth, it sounds to me like, could be accelerated. So in 5 years or 6 years, let's say, with you still driving with Mike Avocado, have you got an ambition of, it doesn't have to be numbers, where do you see it in sort of 6 years within your own mind?
I mean, we've always focused on the financials. So we've never really looked at numbers. We've always looked at profit margins. We've always looked at turnover. We've always looked at how many different columns of turnover can we have bringing in. We didn't want to be an estate agency that was reliant on one profit and loss column. And if the market went flat, we'd have been in all sorts of bother. So in the same way, we'll carry on with that sort of mindset. So yeah, we've got our own monthly targets, our own annual targets that we want to try and get to. But the key thing is now my investment in energy, which I think is so important. And I've really learned that from being a parent of young kids, someone that also trains at quite a high level from a fitness point of view, and running my own company, that your energy levels are your ultimate investment that you put in. I can now proactively put my energy levels in supporting the agents that want to be mentors within the Avocado and IAD setup to try and help them grow theirs, because by them doing that, they're taking the initial energy part, which is the hard part, spending a year talking to someone, helping them, supporting them, getting them to understand. It's then spending the next year growing their business, getting them off the line. I'm less involved in that now because I've got 5, 6, 7 people in the Avocado that want to do it.
Yeah.
So my job will be to support them in how I've done it with Avocado. And then from a background point of view, be able to do it more on a scale side of things, run more mentorships, internal masterminds, really deliver the value that those agents want from me as
you're
an
not
individual.
having to do 3 or 4 roles.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
like the man who chases 2 rabbits catches
none.
neither. Yeah, catches none. It's somewhere I've been definitely over the years, and as quite a creative thinker, an ideas man, or a starter, perhaps not such a finisher, is you get drawn into a lot of different places, and all of a sudden your energy is dispersed across different areas of the business which deserve their own focus and their own amount of energy. So that feels to me like that's something of a relief to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, is that the right word?
Yeah, I mean,
unlike Spurs when they managed to stay up, that was relief. So were they celebrating the 70s?
As Chelsea and West Ham fans, I don't think we'll bring football into it right now.
No. But relief.
Relief, but also, like, even my wife says over the last sort of 8 weeks, like, you're more patient with the kids and you seem to be happier. Yeah. And even other people in the industry that I know that run models and stuff like that have reached out to me, other brokerage guys and girls, they've kind of said, just, I can tell from your tone on LinkedIn that you're a little bit different. And I think if you ever have like a really good business coach, we work with an action coach, they kind of say, right, create this graph where you do your £1,000 an hour jobs, and then your £5 an hour job. I'm really up in that top box now, and I don't have. Lee's got that responsibility to still kind of do it because he's got this business to build. I don't have that, so I can do the real high level stuff and put my full investment of energy into that high level stuff. That I can see 5 or 6 agents then leave, take a lot of value from that, and that for me is so rewarding, but also so valuable in terms of what you said about the 5-year project. Because the more value I can put into that, the bigger the team grows, the more residual income that comes in, and happy that everyone is. So it's kind of taken that stress of running a business away, but still having the fun part of it, which is amazing, really.
And does all let's say, for example, all your website, your software, is that still all yours? You just carry on with what you'd already built, or does it have to transfer into a model?
I mean, effectively, any of the assets are IADs now, not Avocados. But at the same time, part of the big reason of me and Mike being involved in everything that's gone on with this alliance is that we can consult on that and we can support on that. And I can help Cindy or Lee in the same way that they can lend advice in their way. So it's a 2-way relationship of business owners that are working together to try and make everything better, really.
Yeah, because I think I'm just getting my head around the whole thing. It's my first sort of conversation with you today.
Yeah.
I'm finding it really fascinating how it's gone about. So is this, looking at IAD with the success of this alliance and you guys bringing this together, that's a real positive message to put out there in the industry.
Absolutely.
I think for a major player in the self-employed model, a success model in that arena, because I genuinely believe that's what these guys have achieved. But people will be thinking, he's a smart guy. Mike yourself, you don't suffer fools gladly. You put what you think out there, and you've been very passionate about protecting that particular identity. For them to do it, that's interesting. Is this now the place for you to invest rather than maybe just per agent? It's like, I mean that in the nicest possible way. There's other people like you out there who probably would want to do something quite similar to this.
Yeah.
What's the messaging to them?
So I think in a similar way to Mike is to actually reach out and have a conversation. There are lots of people within the business that I know, that Mike knows, that Ian knows, that David, one of our big Constellation owners as well, knows in the industry, is actually, if it was of any appeal and was something that you wanted to find out more about, just confidentially, just have a chat and just find out more about the model, find out more about how it works, what it could potentially look like. And if you want to alleviate some of those operational headaches that you have in running a successful brokerage and focus on being a multiplier, which is what Ian and Mike will do now, is actually how can they multiply their business through the support and mentorship that they can give to their agents, then please let's have that conversation. It might not be ready today. It might be 6 months, 12 months down the line, but let's open up those conversations and keep things going, because we have an appetite to continue to grow at a substantial rate. And as we said, with the scale of our business, the larger it becomes, the quicker it grows as well. So being part of it early is also a massive benefit to be something of, because everybody within the business has and needs a mentor. So
because the self-employed model it has exploded now, hasn't it? I think it was very much 5 years ago when you guys 6 years ago were kind of kicking in, 3 years ago for yourself, but previous to that you were doing
2020 as well.
A lot of people are looking at it, and I think there's a lot of businesses running maybe more traditional estate agencies. I mean, I have to look in London. I was talking to Peter Rollings and Peter Knight, I think it's Knight Frank or one of those major brands,
just said they're
done
going to
their
look at
own
it.
thing, and then you see that they're actually offering sort of bases and different things. So there's a lot of disruption going around the market. Are you guys seeing? So is it more about how do we strategically grow with partners than it is maybe just going after the next agent, and actually using the partnerships that you build to do the focusing on that area?
I actually think it's both. And it is both, because they're people. So maybe I say that, but even myself, it's not like the only conversations I'm having is with small brokerages or small businesses or big brokerages. I'm having one-to-one conversations with agents every single week that want to learn a bit more, that have sort of come through the process with us and want to understand more. I present and talk through our model every single week, virtually every single week. On a Thursday, I'm talking to 25 to 30 people at a time about our whole model and how it works. And there are a range of people, from people that are within the industry to small business owners to people that are great people that actually want to get into property for the first time. And have previously had a previous life and career. I was talking to a lawyer this week that wants to do it, the mortgage brokers. There's so many other professional service industry people that are thinking about property as either part of what they want to do or the full part of what they want to do in the future.
The same for us as well, Matt, which is great, because we've got, in the last couple of weeks, we've now got people that are either joining under the Avocado brand or they're joining under the IAD brand, because we're a very Marmite brand intentionally, pink hoodies. It was a bit risky at the time, but it was very much, this is our market. We're not going for 100%. We're not walking into an ice cream shop and ordering vanilla. It's getting a wacky flavour. But we've now got the ability to say, well, if the wacky flavour is not right for you, this might be right for you. And that's the IAD. So we've now got almost, 70% of people avocado, 30% of people might be IAD within our own team for the agents in their team. So they've got two different offerings now as well.
This is just going through my mind. So in an area where there's an avocado agent, it's exclusive territory.
We won't bring a second avocado agent into that territory.
But if I was going to be an IAD agent in that territory, how would that work?
That's fine.
Because I assume they could do that anyway, regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. They could do it anyway. And if you're going for an avocado agent, the blueprint on how we lead gen and target that marketing avatar as a client is so different to anything else that you could have IAD, you could have, any of those other models operating in that town. It could happen anyway. We just happen to be where we are in avocado, that there just aren't any of them because we just kept them out.
And I like that. And I think at the end of the day, when you're trying to build something and collaboration's at the heart of it, there is an advantage to having somebody in your corner, in
Mhm.
your location. I think people look at it as a disadvantage. I actually think there's an advantage to it
Yeah.
if you've got the open
There is.
mind.
Yeah.
So just coming out, I'm going to close this down, right? There you go. Fucking
We've
hate
gone raw
agents.
now.
Oh,
This is
We're,
it.
we're off
This
piste.
is unfiltered. Agents, there's a lot. I feel there's a lot of agents sitting in the corporate traditional models who are sitting there going, fucking hate this, because they're not getting their exchanges through.
Mhm.
They're probably working, I say working reasonably hard. I'm going to say they're probably working hardish. They are literally either driven by numbers and followed up. They're in probably more meetings they are with the area managers than they are with clients, perhaps. Yet they're really good agents at heart, but they're probably managing teams. They're those types of people, as I see out there at the moment, which have been looking over the fence at self-employed. But there's a real tough ask, which is how many people today have got the capital to take the risk?
Mhm.
What's your advice for them? Because, you probably need 6 to 12 months runway to take the opportunity of joining, let's say, as a singular.
Yeah.
So I've gone from small brokerages or small independents maybe coming in to I'm an agent sitting in an office in Cambridgeshire, and I look at IAD. I've seen a little bit of news in the press, not been that much, a little bit, and this is bringing it to everyone's attention.
Yeah.
Thinking, okay, that looks interesting. Why? How am I going to go and do this? Because money's tight.
I think planning and preparation is really important, no matter what business you're starting.
Yeah.
I mean, when I stepped away from an employed role in 2004 and started my own business, I didn't do it without planning. I didn't do it without a financial runway ahead of me. And sometimes I fear that the self-employed agency model, people don't view it in the same way as business ownership, which is really what it is. So
it is.
you do need to be prepared, or you need an alternative source of income.
Yeah.
It might be something that, you start up alongside something else at the same time, where you've got some income coming from somewhere or some support, but the preparation side for me is really important. So actually, if it means having a conversation with somebody today, like Ian was saying, that actually transpires into something in 12 months' time, brilliant. Yeah. Because you've taken the time to prepare yourself, to prepare your business, and to possibly prepare your finances to be able to do this and to be able to commit to it properly.
This is why I've always said self-employed agency is the future, is because if just from a business perspective, estate agency is an awfully unprofitable business. Like, the model and the structure is terrible. Like,
is the traditional model more unprofitable, or with your experiences?
Hugely.
Okay.
Yeah, hugely. And I've seen that at scale, 10 branches, 6 branches, conversations with, from Mike's perspective as well, being in corporate game and small independents. So between the two of us, we know that. And I think everyone listening would say, yeah, it's really hard to make good profit. I'm in a mastermind of a load of business owners, with Stephen Brown, and we have open conversations about that. But we were talking off camera, I went away with my daughter and I said to her, what do you want to do when you're going to grow up? What do you want to do? She said, I want to do what you do. I was like, no, you don't. Like, the last thing I want you to do is start an estate agency.
My voice said the same.
Absolutely no way. But the reason behind that is the exit value is really tough.
Yeah.
It's all well and good getting through the first 12 months and getting a wage, but what's it worth?
Yeah.
Like, to build a traditional estate agency for 20 years and build 400 underlettings, and you do 600-700 grand a year turnover, it's worth jack shit.
Yeah.
That's the fact of it.
What is it? Percentage of your fees in the pipeline?
Yeah.
60% or whatever.
Maybe 2x on your lettings,
2x
and
on lettings.
you might get a
little bit for listings,
a little bit of a kiss for the pipeline, but it's not 20 years work, and it's hard. It's 10%, 12%, 30% profit margin.
Yeah.
You flip it for the self-employed agents. We were talking about agents that are doing 300 grand a year. Their cost of that 300 grand a year is less than 30 grand. It's a 90% profit margin. It looks like a drug business. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's why I think if we've got these brokerages, and yes, there will always be a corporate and there'll always be the independent butcher. You're always going to have the independent coffee shop on the high street and a Starbucks or a Costa. That is the same for a estate agency. Yeah. But the brokerage allows because of since COVID, we see this more and more in all lines of business, not just estate agency.
100%.
People want to be working from their home. They want to be working from Dubai. They want to be working from wherever. And they want to be able to do that independently. And on a Friday, climb Snowdon and not give a shit about it. And that's the world we live in now.
Mm-hmm.
The brokerage for a self-employed agent allows people to do that. Otherwise, you're 8 o'clock, you're in a morning meeting, and you ain't leaving that office till
6.
the office says
Easy.
you can leave.
6:30.
But that's not the case for a self-employed
And you're
agency.
capped?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, of course
you are.
Yeah, you are. You're
Yeah.
in an employed role. You would be. Yeah.
And more often than not, your vision of why you do the job is compromised.
I mean, I was an area director, then managing director. I looked after 5 branches, probably 50 staff. I was just a firefighter, deal with complaints, recruitment, and people leaving.
Yeah.
I had, a 2-year-old at home. I had a mortgage, a high salary, 6-figure salary, and I was stuck, and I hated it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people. I think it's escalated like you said, since COVID. I certainly feel, and since maybe 2022, when the pants were pulled down on the market, and we had that mini budget situation, which really did turn the tap off of transactions, and it kind of really took a bit of time for it to be turned back on again.
Yep.
And even when it did, people were getting used to the fact that they were coming off of fixed mortgages at 1.5% or 1%, and all of a sudden it's 5 or 6%. It's like, well, what do I do? So we've been through some pretty challenging moments in the last, let's say,
Yeah.
And one of the biggest ones is the social challenge that people have now of going from that kind of almost pre-COVID of you work to live to now, you live to work as such, now to more, look, I want to live, I want to work hard, but I also want to live my life at the same time, which is what you're touch on. There's a social sort of aspect which I think this model kind of brings to people, because if you want to earn X, go for fill your boots, and we can help you to do it. But if you are more comfortable with doing 2 completions a month, that's absolutely fine as well. You know the deal. You need that many in your pipeline. You need to list this many houses, etc. And it's giving people that choice, I suppose, which is always a good thing, isn't it? It's when people have got a choice. Stepping back into the property market at the minute, and I've been looking a little bit like flexi fees. This is more general sort of topic, if that's all right. I just want to get your opinions on it. I think Ian Preston's done quite a lot of work on flexi fees, and if I was going to list your house today, and you say how much is it going to cost? Well, it's 1.5% if you want to do a no sale, no fee, but it's closer to this if you want to pay depending on how much up front. What are your thoughts around?
I really like it.
Yeah,
I really like it. I've looked at it in terms of an implementation. It's quite difficult for us to implement, but I really like it as a concept. I do.
And is it something that when you've got 130 agents, for argument's sake, it's again something that you can say to the broader group, you choose how you want to operate. Is that something they've got the freedom to do in terms of that fee?
Yeah, in terms of fee
protection and things like that?
We have agents at Avocado that charge up front. They're not the full fee, but they charge up front. We're going to do professional video, a paid ad campaign on Meta, and therefore I need 500 quid up front or whatever. And Chris Webb actually on LinkedIn asked me the other day, he said, if you were setting the industry fee for the UK, what would you do? And I said, I'd take 0.75 up front and I'd take 1.5 on completion. And that's how I would set it up in the UK. I would have everyone fixed on that. You get 0.75% of the fee to market. And then if you sell it and you complete it, you get another 1.5 on top of that. And that's how I would set the industry up if we could do it in a way, because it's reward for effort, which is the upfront, and then it's reward for success and completion on the end.
You've really looked after where I was going with this, which is quite nice. I see more brokerage. I see more bigger brokerages taking smaller businesses, teams, independents into it purely logically, because of the structure of estate agency businesses operating without a margin. And actually, what's crazy is I know business owners which are, and have probably for 2 or 3 years, I've seen them taking less than their lowest paid negotiator out of their business because of the financial implications. Now that is down to them, and once they get over the hill of who to blame, it's not Rachel Reeves, right? You can still make money and today's climate, even though she's as terrible a chancellor as I've ever come across. But what I see in the moment at this moment is there's going to be, it feels like there's going to be more corporate side as in terms of growth.
Yeah, eating each other like Pac-Man.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And that then allows maybe a smoother transition into fee increases in the future. I feel like we've bottomed out of fees. I feel like this market helps us to do that.
Absolutely.
So upfront fees are less rare than they were. I think, 0.75%. When you sit with someone, I mean, I've got someone I'm taking one on tomorrow for 2 million quid. And, I've done the usual, there's nothing up front. It's 1.5%. And he's trying to bend us around the fees. There's a national brand that can do it for this. And they do. I was like, well, you just go to them. I mean, they're 88% chance of you not selling it. So it's entirely up to you. But I thought to myself, if I'd have said it's $3,000 up front and let's call it 1.25% or 1% even on completion, I think they would have still gone with that. But my biggest problem sometimes when I dip back in as I do is I'm still conditioned from the previous way of doing it. And I've got one of the most open minds for this kind of stuff. So my mentoring and my group coaching, and if I was to go and do a day somewhere, it's probably one of the higher rates in the industry as a mentor. Yet I've still dipped myself back into that moment and thought, hang on, why am I fucking doing this? Because actually the value we bring through the campaigns, finding the perfect buyer, making sure we don't just rely on Rightmove. We've got a database of tens of thousands of buyers. We know who's active, who's not. Here, it's like the industry's really undervalued itself for such a long time. It feels like this is a real this movement that you're on. Feels like it could help us all to move the industry onwards. And what dovetailing that with the type of people that you were mentioning, who are now thinking, because I bet if you said to the mortgage broker
or the lawyer,
no, this is what you do, they'll go, yeah, that's fine. Because what happens?
And they do.
It's us fucking old timers that have kind of...
We've all sat in an office and got battered for that. Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah. We're our own worst enemy sometimes in that regard. And actually bringing like fresh professionals into it and guiding them around a fee structure and a way of pitching and a way of describing it, making sure that the customer is comfortable with it as part of a process. And they just go out and they just utilize that training to be able to go and deliver the fee. And
now you're saying that because I'm completely on board, because I think there's a lot of great people that have either left the industry because of maybe where they were in their circumstances, or people that could come in and absolutely pull up trees without having the preconditioned mindset that we've all become an estate agent, which I'm still trying to sort of get out the way, because I genuinely don't actually feel that that's the way forward, which is really exciting. But just going back from when I had Mike on the show, was it 2 years or 5 years that you guys wanted people to join they needed some experience? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, really we wanted 100 valuations. So, it normally was 5 to 7 years, something like that is probably how they would fit.
And that's slightly different than perhaps the approach.
From our overall model,
fits with what you were saying about choice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because we've along the 6-year window, we have had 3, 4, 5 conversations with people where they're like, I'm only going into a estate agency if I can do it with Avocado. And, they might be 32-year-old, incredible woman that would just be phenomenal at it. Massive social following, knows all the mums in the playground, bought and sold property, been in customer care or hospitality or whatever it may be, run their own business previously. And you just look and go, you would be great, but you don't fit what we set our stall out as. So we have to say no. But you regret saying no. But because we were strong on what we said, that was the line we drew in the sand, we'd say no. Now it's, well, look, there's a different option here and let's see what they do. I still think it's harder for those. Like there will be those 5 people. I still think the first year is a very different year, because you're not just teaching them marketing and running a business. You're teaching them estate agency. And we underestimate how how much experience creates a good estate agent, and how much goes into estate agency, the touch points is bonkers. And they get into it and they go, there's a lot to this, isn't there? Yeah.
How many times have you heard that, by the way, over the years? Yet from the outside looking in, people look at estate agency as
easy.
That's fucking easy, isn't it? You only have to open a door or answer the phone or book a viewing in. It's a lot harder than people realise.
Well, because there's a lot of points to it. So it's easy to fuck up and it's easy to do well, but you have to be organised and consistent. You have to have a process in place. You have to have a map, don't you? You have to have the instructions. You can't build the IKEA wardrobe without the instructions. There's so many bits to it. And if you go off the instructions, it will break. And that is estate agency. And people don't realise that from the outside, but it is our job to educate. That's why I'm passionate about marketing, is because we tell the public that. We tell them what goes into that. And that's the bit that you have to get across to your local, hyper-local market and say, look, this is what's going on. We have to share. You mentioned about interest rates. Cheap money is gone in the economy. You know, the war in the Middle East has made that happen. The base rate is what the base rate is. There aren't 1% deals out there anymore. There is a bit of uncertainty with buyers. The war doesn't directly impact the property market, but it does impact inflation and groceries and petrol and fuel, which then makes people have less money. So they're a bit more uncertain about making a move, and they won't be flippant on spending money on a survey or solicitors or an EPC to just do it. They'll do it because it's right. So for us as estate agents, we have to be aware of that and share that information. That's marketing, right?
And so definitely. And coming back to like attracting or recruiting, whichever way you want to call it, what's the general process of doing that in your business after 3 years now? Have you reached the attraction part of bringing agents in, or is there still quite a lot of outbound, or do you go to recruiters like, I don't know, Rayner personnel?
Yeah, so we don't use recruiters. Each and every one of our agents, as I said to you, can opt to be a mentor if they wanted to. So they will have individual conversations. Where we find most of the valuable conversations happening are through contacts and connections that people already know. So the very, very cold recruitment effort has an element of success, but not wild. But becoming an attraction agent and becoming an attraction business, I think actually reverts back to where Ian was going on here around providing information about the process. So I try to do a lot of video around like the process, what people are doing, how people make their decisions about using us as a brand, and talking about the job, talking about the whole role, to try and provide that information first so that people can look into us further. And we get a lot of results out of our presentations of the model to give people an insight into it as part of a funnel. So it's probably multifaceted in terms of how we go about that approach. But yeah, the lots of value comes from one-to-one interactions over coffee for people that they know, that they've been introduced to, or that they've worked with.
Interesting. So, and I'm just thinking around the industry again, looking at EXP moved into Teams. And they decided I think they probably clicked as well with regards to thinking maybe a year or two ago. I had Adam Mackay on not long ago. I like Adam. He's a really nice lad. And he moved his business into EXP. Did he talk to IAD? I know I'm being a bit nosy here, but it feels like there's the same people that are talking to you would probably be talking to those guys as well. And what's the difference?
I spoke to Ads about that because he's very local to where our head office is.
What I was thinking.
He is.
Where are you from? Bristol Stopford. I know someone over there.
So no, I meet for coffee with Adam quite regularly. I know he was talking about it at the time, and he thought to have a conversation with me would be to lose Mackay.
Right.
And he wanted to keep Mackay.
Right.
Little did he know that was actually an alternative, and obviously the deal was done, and it was already sorted. So it had already become a thing before we'd even had a conversation about it. But that has changed for us, and maybe from an outside perception, teams with their own team identity within, alongside IAD, of course, but they as an identity that lives on. And what you provide your team culture and how you want to work with new agents that come into that team in the future is something that we want to live on. And we want to be able to support you with a platform that's scalable, that isn't going to bankrupt you as you become more and more successful, because the cost pressure
Because I suppose
gets
if you
absorbed
look
by the
at
main
like
business.
Adam or somebody else who've got an employed element to their
Yep.
team and a self-employed maybe element,
Mm.
they're thinking, well, you know, maybe how do I protect that moving forward rather than try and convert everybody in? Is that the right thinking, or is it you just need to just go all in on this if you're going to make it work?
You either kind of need to, you do in a way, you either need to do it or you can't do both because that would create a conflict. So you need to be able, you either need to be able to set up as a brokerage and move. But actually, when we moved into the IAD model, we actually transferred 3 employed brokers into self-employed brokers.
Right.
So it can be done.
Yeah.
And other people I've spoken to and have said, look, actually, if you go away and get them into that self-employed and then we can talk. So yeah, we have a way to price brokerages, which I think is probably a bit unique at the moment in the market. So yeah, if anybody wanted to have a conversation about that, I can talk you through it and how it works.
It's a lot of detail
and what
and it's very nuanced.
It is quite nuanced, around the employees and what you need after.
There's the stats was 40% fail in year one who go into self-employed brokerages. 40%, I think it's in year 2, it's 60%. Now, obviously, yours was very low from talking to Mike originally. I can't remember what the stat was, but I think it was under 20%.
Yeah, it'd be the flip of it. We don't really lose agents. Because again, we're bringing experience in. We've got a blueprint. We account manage in a very different way. The training, the personal touch is very different, and that's why I say it's not a numbers game. We could have had 400 estate agents in Avocado after 6 years. We could have signed up. I'm not saying that it'll be a success. We could have. That's the amount of conversations that I've had with people. But we didn't. We had 40, but we had 40 very good ones and we had a very profitable business. And that was key. I couldn't have 400 agents, let's say 280 of them were left and have the same business.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't. It wouldn't have the same profitability. Okay. And that's a real key thing.
Well, I'm going to come back to the mindset maybe or the skill set of an employed and what they need to be self-employed in a sec. So if you just hold on to that. Yeah. But I don't think I covered my question well enough a second ago. So let's say I've got 3 branches, all employed estate agents, there's 10 agents, maybe infrastructure of 30 people. I'm just randomly picking up some numbers and I'm interested. That's not going to fit, or is it does fit, but you're going to have to just convert everybody across?
Listen, for teams of people to come into the business in our format with a self-employed brokerage, we are an open door to be able to have that conversation. Right. The problem that you have in that scenario of that business setup is there's a lot of risk.
Yeah.
And the risk for you as the business owner with your 3 branches, your 35 staff, is that not everybody will convert. No. And obviously how we pay for those businesses, we pay on who converts and stays rather than who doesn't. So there is an element of risk. So it might be that your business goes on a 12-month plan towards moving towards it before there is a conversation that's ready.
And here's the thing, I think in estate agency, I think again, one of the downsides of what's happened to COVID, there's been quite a few, let's be honest, is that people avoid accountability at all costs. And what I mean by that is maybe that's the corporatized accountability, where how much net are you on, what are your numbers and everything else. But actually positive accountability, I think, is a secret weapon for those who want to perform better in their businesses. Going away from that, like if you were to go into an employed estate agency today and say, could you bank 80 grand? Or when would you be able to bank 80 grand if you was carrying over your pipeline? They'd be like, probably by month 6. For argument's sake, let's say 150, 200 grand, an average amount for someone who's already up and running. Yep. They're listing and selling. And then you said to them, after that, you'll get, what was it?
87.8%
so
after
up
that.
To the 80 grand, it's how much?
69%.
So you get 69% of the 80 grand. And then after that, you're going to get 87.8%. That's a pretty cool thing to transfer into, is what you're saying.
And essentially, why that is a weird number, which probably takes some explaining, is that from every invoice charged by IAD, 12.2% is retained to pay the mentorship lines within the business. So your mentor and their mentor above them.
Yeah.
18.8% is retained by IAD to run the business.
Yeah.
So you go from 69 to 87.8 because IAD walk away at that point. So we don't take any further cut from the commission after you've earned 80.
Yeah.
But we keep the 12.2 in there. So as a mentor, you are still part of the journey with that agent right the way along the process. So your mentor is there. You don't lose your mentor after month 6 because you've capped and then you can't get hold of them again till January. They are with you for the whole journey to help you create that high performing business and continue to enjoy the ride.
So it's really a mentorship model, not a recruitment model.
Yeah, because the reality is you don't earn any money out of recruiting. You don't earn any money out of recruiting.
It feels a bit, I feel a little bit like when I watch some of this going on out there, and I know the stats behind the scenes, and certainly in some of the brokerages, it is a high failure rate. And I've actually seen a few that I know that have gone off to set up, a couple of people that have left us because we've not quite got ourselves into the position where we ought to have been by now, because I'm unpacking or unpicking what we originally set out as a vision 12 years ago or 10 years ago. And changing it into where I believe it should go because of what I believe in. But it's a really interesting one, and I can see one guy he's I don't know, listed out maybe a handful of houses in 6 months, and then there's another person that's done. They're more on social media than they are probably in a lounge, and I can see it's going to be a real struggle for them because it feels like that first 6. I say the first 6 months. You should be listed. I believe if you list 10 in the first month, which sounds a hell of a lot, but I think if you're going to have a runway, that's a long enough runway to go, I've got fees from month 1 and I'm up and running. And actually, you're in a situation where you can start to put what your proposition is going to be out there and attracting the right people in. But I feel like the UK is in a real transition in this place at the moment, and I think you guys are quite possibly ahead of where it's all going, because I think a lot of people really enjoy the core elements of estate agency, like their A game. Yeah, they're really good at it. But when you're going into a certain place, you could find it's all encompassing. You're trying to run your own marketing, you're trying to do all your own prospecting, you're trying to knock on doors, you're trying to then answer the phone. Do you know what I mean? Like there's like 10 or 12 different places that you're spinning, if you like. And it feels to me the brokerages that are putting on more support around that and giving people the freedom to be better and spending more of their time doing their A game like you're doing, they're going to get there faster. Is that, have I any fucking sense around that at all? Because I feel like I've waffled on a little bit.
I think so. I think it's the same as if you're sat in a living room. To make it relatable, you sat in a living room with a seller that's looking to upsize. Now, they've invited you out because they want to know how much their house is worth and what you charge. They're the 2 questions they've got for you. Outside of those questions, you need to supply them with probably 20 answers to questions that they haven't thought about. And it's exactly the same with an estate agent that's thinking of going self-employed. Our job as leaders in the industry is to give them those questions and then give them advice on the answers for them to make a decision on. Yeah. And that's where I think a lot of the brokerages don't put enough of that in, because the way I see estate agency going is we've got listing agents and we've got strategic agents with sellers, but it's the same applies to self-employed world. We're going to have recruiters and mentors, and a mentor has to be really well financially incentivized to do a proper mentorship job. And that was why I felt the Avocado agents are going to be in a good place with this structure, is there's no cap on what they can get from a mentorship, which there is in other models. Like as in, if I've got a 300 grand agent, I might only earn a little bit of money off of them. With IAD, it's uncapped on that 7%. It will go forever. And that's amazing. But it means that I can put my time and energy into tipping the scales from maybe being full-time estate agent and part-time mentor into maybe full-time mentor and part-time estate agent. I can shift that depending on what I want to do, because it can pay me a full-time role to do that. And that's a beautiful place to be, because it means as you grow up and you evolve and you want to maybe be more B2B rather than B2C, which is the way I see it, you're either B2B or B2C, then that allows you to put that energy into the B2B stuff, really.
And the reward from that is like transformational.
Yeah.
That was the bit that I enjoyed the most when we started our self-employed program in 2020, was that the conversations that I had from there on out with all of the brokers were completely different.
Yeah.
They were entrepreneur to entrepreneur conversations that were around problem solving and solutions and things that they were trying and investments that they were going to make that they wanted a bit of advice on. Like, should I advertise, you know what people like, should I get the logo around the map at Sainsbury's? Oh, well, I tried that and it didn't work. Or oh, did you have you ever done a billboard? Well, I did actually, and that worked really well. But the second time it didn't work so well. And like you're able to share that knowledge that you've built up over a lifetime with somebody else, and then you start to see them get those rewards, and that is so like that's what gets the juices going for me. That's where it really becomes exciting to see them find that success level. And like we were saying, like recruitment earns you nothing in this business.
No.
Mentorship, mentoring them to success, that's when you find anything back out of it.
Yeah.
It's at that point, and if they're not earning any money, you will not earn any money either. So you are mutually incentivized, and back to what we were talking about in the beginning, rowing in the same direction to make sure that they find success. They are listing and selling within 90 days. They're finding that business build. They're building a relationship and a market for themselves in that local area, and then heading towards the business that they want to build.
Absolutely. And, you know, it isn't easy out there, is it?
No.
It's not easy, but there are opportunities, and there's some big invitations to opportunities, because I think in this market, many agents are unsuccessful first time round with vendors, and the over-promising agents are falling foul of that. Now you're, a few months into this together?
2 months.
Yep.
What's your one word that would describe the way it's gone so far for you? What's the first one that comes to your mind?
Like stress-free. You know, that's how it feels.
That must be nice to hear.
Wasn't for me. No, I'm joking.
Give him a little bit more.
I'm joking.
I mean, the 9 months leading up to it, you asked the question earlier on in the podcast, like when did this all start?
Yeah.
You know, that was high stress. I was in Disneyland with the family, 5 o'clock in the morning on a Zoom call to Lee and a couple of guys from France and Italy. That was stressful. Like, that's when that started back in last summer. And then difficult conversations
Why was
with
it
lawyers.
stressful? Was it because of the fact that you're doing this, or you're considering doing this, or was it some of the things you couldn't do?
It's new, you know, when you're ultimately selling a business that's your third child. I've got 2 kids and I've got Avocado. You know, that's how it is.
Yeah.
It's high intensity, but it's new. You know, me and Mike are looking at each other going, we've not done this before. What's the answer to that question?
Yeah.
We don't bloody know.
Yeah.
So it's very, very high level stress. And then you're building up to the point of going, at some point, we're going to have to reveal this to the world, and we're going to have to tell the agents. And that's also very stressful.
Yeah.
So all of that leading up to it, to then get to this point 8 weeks after that moment, feels stress-free.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know,
that's a really good way of explaining it. And a lot of the time people avoid going into those stressful moments, but you normally find once you've gone through them, you come out better than the process itself. So
and just quickly, because you pointed at Leo and you need to give him some more to do. but the reason
I was only joking.
He's retracting that comment.
But no, it is important to say as well, because for me as a team leader within IAD, the responsibility is on me to do my part well, but I can do that part well because I've done it for 6 years. So it's what I enjoy. Like I can, and I've got a mic.
Yeah.
Right. So there's not just an Ian, there's a Mike and an Ian, and we're the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
So Mike does the bits that I would find very stressful, and I do the bits that he would find incredibly stressful. So you put the two of us together, and that is a recipe for running a really good business, is having 2 different sets of skills. Yeah. That's why I think we're both a bit more stress-free at the moment, because we're both doing the bits that we love doing without that bit at the bottom.
I think that's ultimately, isn't it, what the whole idea is, isn't it? Is to find your why aligned with the role that you do most of the time, you know.
It's not always easy, that.
It's
like
you
can talk a really good talk about it.
It's very easy to get trapped.
Yeah.
I think trapped or boxed in is very much how a lot of people feel. Either if they're working in employment or if they've got their own business, and it's quite a tough old journey. Is there any questions that I haven't asked you that Cindy would say to me, Matt, why didn't you ask this? But all jokes aside, I wanted to bring you on today to get a bit of a deep dive, look under the bonnet of what you've done. I feel we've done that.
Well, I would like to know from your point of view what you read into it when you saw it. You know, what did the outside world that knows us look at and think,
I thought,
what's
wow,
going on here?
First of all, I was surprised, quite honestly, because I know how protective you are. And that's what I really admire. And same with what you said about you could have hired a lot more agents over the years. I've never been surprised by your slow growth, but I mean that as in a respectful growth. Like, I'd rather grow sustainably than car crash things, and then you're crashing people's lives at the same time, which I feel the industry's been very good at doing, selling dreams that aren't really that real. But so I was shocked, and it actually made me think, wow, this is an interesting one. So when we eventually got on a call, this was selfishly an opportunity for me to just understand, because I've been really lucky to do 45, 50 episodes of this and do the stuff that I've done with David Linley before. And it opens your eyes.
Yeah.
You know, I came out of By Design because I just wasn't my baby.
Okay.
It wasn't my project. And I really felt that it was David's baby, David's project. I've done my bit to help it get off the ground, and David's really pushed it on since then, and he's done a great job. It was always his. You know, you get consulted, and it's like, well, it doesn't really matter what I say. Let's be honest. It's like being in a corporate directorship. You know, you get asked, but you don't really get listened to. But I'm not saying David was quite that bad, but he's single-minded. Yeah, and you've got to be if you're going to build something. Yeah. And I think he's done that admirably. But we were lucky to interview a lot of different people, so you get to see right round the industry. And sometimes at first you look at something and think that's a bit strange, which I did think. It's a bit surprising, which I did think. And then you think, well, hang on a minute, I need to understand a bit more.
Yeah, what's going on?
What's going on? So I read the article. I'm just going to leave that until I meet you. Done a bit of prep this morning. And I thought, well, I knew you'd been on the journey. So I knew that you being on the journey is a really interesting thing for somebody else to kind of go, well, I've done this, then we moved it, and now we're doing this. And I think that's it's much more authentic, real, when someone's telling you to do something that they've done. And I like that.
And not do something that we've also done as well. Like we made mistakes. Like we through that whole process, and I said to Mike and Ian early on, when we do this, I've got some advice. Like, I need to tell you some things. Don't do this at this point. Take some more time here. Like we really kind of structured that to try and learn from the way that we did it. And there were things that I thought, oh, maybe we rushed there. Maybe we didn't give enough information or enough time and space. And we really tried to correct that with the conversations with the full team at Avocado.
I think because of what happened with the brokerages coming into the UK, certainly the models, the platforms. You have Keller Williams, Americans crashed and burned a little bit. And I was looking at that 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
I was really close to doing an operating centre there, and then kept looking at the spreadsheet thinking
that complicated spreadsheet.
Fuck me. I mean, you needed a degree. You probably needed a year's course to actually figure out what was on there. But bottom line is, for me, it wasn't going to be a profitable situation, certainly to fold my business into it as well, from my perspective. And, I looked at EXP because I really like Adam. I like Adam Day. He's got this very nonchalant way about him, and I quite admire that. But it's felt a little bit like everyone's being bombarded at the minute. Like every time you click on LinkedIn, it's like, there's another success story. But is it all that successful? I think they've been a little bit more transparent over the last year or two about the fact that you have to be able to do X, Y, and Z if you're going to make it work, which I think is fair to the industry. But what I like about this is that you bring different perspectives and shared experiences into this, which is only going to make the whole thing improve.
I think so.
I think appeal. So. And I think it's a great strategic move as well, because like I said, I'm a big fan of what you guys have done, and you're smart operators, and both of you have done really well. 19 years is not to be sniffed at in any stretch of the imagination, and then moving something in. So, I just want to wish you really the ultimate success on growing this and forging your way forward. And if anyone that's curious, let's call it curious about this, you ought to reach out to Ian or obviously Lee and arrange a call, I would say. that wasn't necessarily the reason for you being on, because
No.
I think it's actually about how do you know, I was surprised. Now I'm not. Let's end it there.
Perfect.
All right, guys.
Sam, thank you.
See you on the next one.